What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone's doing very well. Welcome back to another edition of The Full View. We are back. Football is, still over the summer. Manchester United may have paused, but international football is upon us. European Championship starting this week. Nigeria struggling. New information. Just heard about it. We'll discuss that as we go. Through. But there is plenty to get into. Big up to the panel. Big up to Good Vibes Jog. Big up to KG. Big up to Marcel. Big up to Minna. And even though Manchester United have stopped playing football, it doesn't mean the circus and the news surrounding Manchester United has stopped. My goodness me, has it not? There has been a lack of information. Then there are bursts of information, in particular when it surrounds the future of the manager, Erik ten Hag, because still over 2 weeks since Manchester United won the FA Cup at Wembley, we are still no clearer as to what is going to happen with our manager next season. Is it going to be Ten Hag? We know it's not going to be Thomas Tuchel. Apparently, it's not going to be Poch. Maybe. We don't know. We don't know if it's going to be De Zerbi. We don't know if it's going to be Gareth Southgate. We're not even going to go that far as well. But there's plenty to get into. So big up to everyone in the chat. I can see everyone getting involved. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. We recently hit 169,000 subscribers. Yes, the road to 200K is well on the way. Next up, 170. So if you haven't already, you know what to do. Subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. KG, I'll start with you because I was on the phone to you earlier today.
Yes.
And it was funny, actually, because KG said to me, oh, what have we got to talk about this evening? I went, we've got a lot to talk about this evening. And I said what we've got to talk about regarding the managerial situation. And I just got an audible...
I was with my dad and you didn't say hello. And it was on loudspeaker. And you just said, Gary. And he was waiting for his moment still. It was like, okay, OWEN. You know that everyone calls you OWEN.
Do you know what got me last? Because when you said that, the panic that went into my body, because I've been on the phone to you before and been cussing up a storm. Yeah. And then KG had to go on, oh, and there are children in the car. And I go, oh, sorry. Apologies for that one. So I was on my proper best behavior as well.
Yeah, you was good. You was good. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So apologies, Mr. Gary. Apologies, Mr. Gary. But KG, yes. Right. What are your thoughts? Because you let out a sigh when I said manager stuff earlier on.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm just sick of this crap, you know. I was listening to our guy Jamie Jackson, you know, lovely shirts. He was on, Eric. And you know what? He was talking earlier on Talk Sport today. He done a nice little interview, and it was interesting because he just speaks about like they speak about the Southgate thing, yeah. And while we like don't talk about it, or why we don't want to acknowledge it, the Southgate factor is incredibly real. It's only because Southgate is really busy that he's not a serious suitor for Man United. Now that terrifies me. I'm really like, there's McKenna, Southgate. Those are probably the two names that I never want to see linked with this club. No disrespect to McKenna, but I just don't want to see it. Now, when you actually start to look at this club and what they're doing, because I'm at the point where with some other fans, just make a decision. I'm at just make a decision point. Like, I don't care what decision is, but do something. But now I'm starting to lose hope and faith in this INEOS thing, because even someone called in today, one of the Reckless delegation, I think his uncle said, mentioned the chat, goes, we've spoken to so many different managers. So what's our plan in terms of style of play? It's not like we're getting for different managers with different kind of idea, like, you know, different managers with the same ideas. All these managers play a different brand of football. So is that the strategy? Talk to De Zerbi, talk to Poch, have a meeting with Tuchel. Like, we're all over the place. This doesn't feel to me as planning for the future, planning with the right attitude and the right way going forward. So I'm nervous, I'm annoyed, I'm all the things you can imagine going to a transfer window being open, but I know that it can quickly be sorted out if we finally just make a decision. And that's all I'm waiting for. Make a decision, we'll understand what our bed looks like, but we don't even know what we're going to do.
Do you think that's part of the plan, though? That kind of, get it to the point where we're just desperate for a decision as opposed to one that we're happy with?
No, because pressure will come. Pressure will mount at any moment. There's no way you're not that right now. It's only because we don't know who to blame right now. As soon as we have a target, don't worry, we'll find our form. We're Man United fans. We'll we look how, when we have to blame Marwan, there's always going to be a scapegoat in this thing. And even if you make a decision time ago, we'll find a way to make it about you. We blame the Arsenal doctor. Don't know nothing about him. Don't know if he's actually responsible for the injuries, but I believe it's his fault. So it don't matter the time of appointment. We will make a way. So they're just kicking the can down the road, to be honest.
Good vibes, John. Are you getting any good vibes from what you're seeing over the last couple of weeks? A lack of information. As yesterday was really crazy with everything that was going on with Tuchel suddenly in and out. What have you made of it all?
Honestly, I kind of liked it when it was quiet because it kind of showed that we have the ability at least to protect our intel to some degree. But now, like you mentioned at the top of the show, Owen, like we're having bursts of information just dropped. And then out of nowhere, it's quiet. And then out of nowhere, it's another dump of information. I couldn't be asked with any of this, honestly, at the end of the day. What we know for certain is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS, they have come with a strategy of being able to say, look, this is our chance to make changes, wholesale changes. Of course, they're going to go around, interview people. Of course, they're going to try and figure out what options they have. It doesn't matter who's the manager. At the end of the day, they're going to take whatever decisions they need to take. And I think I saw a report today saying that Erik ten Hag isn't really bothered with it. He's just going to continue to go on with the work and I like that. It just goes to show that Erik ten Hag knows at the end of the day, all of this comes down to business. And he's not afraid of anything. He's not afraid of these guys talking to people because at the end of the day, he's currently still contractually the manager of Manchester United. And I like that. He's not bothered by it. There could have been an angle where Erik ten Hag could have, where reports could have surfaced saying Erik ten Hag is annoyed and upset that these men are going around talking to other people. That could have been completely the case as well. But Erik ten Hag has showed time and time and again that he ain't bothered with none of this crap. He's just going to continue with the work that he's doing. And it doesn't matter. Honestly, for me, if they were going to change managers, the only option that I saw, I know Marcel was riding for De Zerbi, but I know that the only option they were going to take was going to be an option that was going to provide the least amount of risk, and that person was going to be Tuchel. They weren't going to go on account Pochettino after what just happened with Chelsea. Absolutely not. They weren't going to go with De Zerbi. As much as De Zerbi might have had good vibes with Brighton, it wasn't going to happen. So the only option really was Tuchel, and if that's not the case, I think they're going to stick with them. And you can say all you want in the media. Man United drive clicks for the journalists. That's what needs to be done because we're Man United. We drive the clicks for these websites. I'm not bothered by none of this crap at this point because I truly believe that Erik ten Hag is going to be the man for the future. I honestly think they're going to announce at some point this week, Erik ten Hag is the guy to go forward. That's my gut instinct. That's what it's telling me.
Confidence. I like it. Confidence from Good Vibes, John, today. Something that John touched on there was something that came out today. I think it was from Carve from Sky Sports. And he was sort of saying that Erik ten Hag is aware of the reports surrounding his future. How can you not be, by the way? Or he's aware that they may not have been talking to other managers and what have you. This was something Flex and myself talked about this morning. We kind of touched on it on the Trinity on Friday, KG, saying that, what do you think, that Erik ten Hag actually feels about this? Like, would you feel slighted in that scenario where you've got your employer actively talking to replacements, and then if they don't find someone that's adequate, you stick around? Is that really? I don't know. How does that shine on you, and how would you feel about that?
From a business perspective, business goes on, but from like a emotional person, at the end of the day, he's a person. Yeah, he's a person. He's invested in the club. As much as any other player that's been there for a long time or any other employee that's been there for a long time. I think it sucks the fact that not that they've been talking to other managers, because I feel like he kind of knows they're not the people that hired him, so he probably knew that his job could be on the line. I think what's worse was the fact that no one from INEOS came out to back him when the media was basically saying this guy's sacked. I think that's actually worse than Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS speaking to other managerial candidates. If anything, Erik ten Hag probably feels like that confirms all the reports that were in the media. Of course, he's having conversations behind the scenes with INEOS that we're not aware of, and we don't know what's been said behind closed doors. But there has been multiple media appearances by Sir Jim Ratcliffe relating to non-Manchester United stuff, and the topic of Manchester United has always come up. They asked him about it on Sky News when he was talking about Brexit. He was asked about it on a cycling podcast, and
on
he
was one as well, a boat one, talking about some
he's always talking United, even though the topic ain't United, and he's never ever said anything positive to reassure Erik ten Hag in the public. Now, like I said, we don't know what's been said behind closed doors, so maybe he doesn't need to do that. But the fact that they've now gone on and met with other people, I can imagine it makes Ten Hag feel uneasy. But bro, he's getting a £9 million payout if they do part ways with him. He's laughing to the bank. He's laughing back to King's Cross to jump on the Eurostar back to the Netherlands.
Well, that's what I like as well when people say about he'll just walk. You go, no one's walking out £9 million, mate. That's not.
He's gonna hold out until they say hit the road. And yeah, with my 9 million in my bag, let's go.
100%, especially after all this kind of stuff.
Can I just say though, like to Minna's point, like I think right now I'm not too mad at that. You know, of course, in any circumstance, Minna's 100% spot on from an emotional sense. Of course, you have to back your manager, especially when all that nonsense was dropping before the FA Cup final. Of course, absolutely. I was freaking tight. I flew out there with vibes intact, and then on Friday, there was reading some crap about Erik ten Hag being sacked before, irrespective of the result. Of course, there is an element where you want to back him, but right now, the reason why I actually think this silence is actually the best option in all of this lose-lose scenario is because this is like when I said, they didn't hire Ten Hag. This is their sort of first year, their first sort of real, first real rodeo in this situation. Whatever they say, it's always going to be in a pile of crap. If they came out immediately after the FA Cup final, if they came out before the FA Cup final and they said something, they would have been lambasted for making noise. If they came out immediately after the FA Cup final with a decision or with we're backing this manager or we're sacking the manager, they would have said, oh, this is all reactionary, this is all load of crap. They were always going to be in a lose-lose situation with respect to INEOS at this moment in time. That's why I'm actually not mad that INEOS are actually staying a bit quiet with this. I'm actually not mad at this because at the end of the day, Man United cannot keep their sort of their intel secret enough because we're always freaking leaking. We're leaking worse than a leaking pipe. It's absolutely ridiculous how much we've been leaking throughout the season. So I'm actually not mad that they're staying quiet because they were always going to be in a lose-lose situation, and they just need to say something now. We were already behind. That's how many times we've been coming out here on the Full View talking about how Omar Barala should have been locked in already in January or something, doing the job, getting ready for the summer. Dan Ashworth, man's been mowing his goddamn lawn for how long? We needed to do all this before the summer came. We're already late. So all this lose situations intact, we might as well just keep our mouths shut and then just announce as soon as possible. And I think this week has to be the case.
Yeah, it's got to be this week. If it's not, then then it is Takeover 2.0, isn't it? Guitar, all that kind of stuff all over again. Marcel, how are you feeling? Because after the FA Cup final, we were all very joyous. Obviously, we were basking in the glory of winning a trophy after a poor season. But you very quickly said, look, I'm not going to get too carried away because you had concerns at the time. How are those concerns now? You still concerned? You still worried? Or is the fact that like Tuchel's out of the race and maybe some others are out of the race, does that make Ten Hag's hand a bit stronger, do you think? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm trying to believe if it's nasty journalism that's been happening to us throughout the whole period. Just a load of lies in this world. Just feel like there's a load of lies in the world. You know, nobody was telling us the exact truth. And now, you know, we found out, you know, it's not really looking like Tuchel. There's just been so many people saying that he's getting sacked, you know, straight after. So people say, there's so many points we were getting told he was sacked. No, that didn't happen. You know, he's still here. So maybe there was just a load of rumors and lies just spewed, and a load of people, like what John was saying, for clicks. People just wanted to make money off us at some stage and off the emotion and the feeling. And that's what you get. I don't know what it's actually going to look like, but sometimes the indecisiveness of INEOS might be the fact that they don't have to actually, you know, say anything about leaving the manager because he's contractually obligated. I know Minna said that we haven't heard the conversations, you know, between the two, but we have from Ten Hag. Ten Hag has told us categorically that he was staying. He's told us that, you know what, they said that they want to keep him on until he hears otherwise. Then he will walk. So I you know, maybe we've just been hearing a load of lies for the last God knows how long. And especially when you couple that with the rhetoric that Sir Jim actually gave us. He told us that he's going to fix the boardroom. He's going to fix all the other pieces around and make a good situation for a manager. That's what he told us for the last 6 months. And that hasn't happened. Dan Ashworth has not entered the football club yet. He's fighting a court battle. The other one is not coming till Barada's not here until July. So his rhetoric hasn't followed suit right now. So maybe we complete the last season that Ten Hag is contractually obligated to complete, and then he puts in Southgate, which is what he's almost rumored to want in. So then that would make more sense. There's a Euros happen, and Owen, if it is Southgate, I'll be the first one to say I'm ready to back him. Follow his process. I'm ready to back him. Have some patience. I promise you, I will. Just make sure you clip it up. It's about the process. It's about having a patience within the process. We should be following this Ten Hag process right now. There should be nothing more of that we're more obsessed with. He's had 2 good seasons. He's picked up trophies. The fact that we want to change managers right now, I think is just ludicrous, full stop. But I accepted that reality, and I said, within that reality, bring me De Zerbi then, please. But regardless, if you train somebody this season, by the way, they're not even going to have a full camp to work with in pre-season. That's just a fact. They got a Euros. They're going to have tired footballers that are coming back to their football club after the Euros. There's not going to be enough time for them to work within the transfer market. It's ridiculous to change a manager now. But if you do, and I was told, and I said this ages ago in January or December, bring me De Zerbi then. That's somebody I like his style of play. He's going to have the right style of play going forward, in my opinion. But this, I was getting very frantic or worried. In limbo was the term that I used, but just after and before the FA Cup, simply because I'd heard a load of lies. Oh, he's getting sacked straight after. He's going to get sacked beforehand. None of this happened. None of this happened. So right now we're seeing a level of indecision, or we're seeing a level of rhetoric being adhered to by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He told us, everybody, that he's going to make sure that he sorts the boardroom out. That's his priority. That's what he should be doing. The boardroom has not been complete.
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Marcel said months ago, and this rings in my mind every day. He said that he don't trust INEOS because they have something to prove. They've just come in. And I think this situation right now, I'm on that Marcel hype now. The way that they're handling this situation will be the opportunity to judge what INEOS are on. And I know you lot heard what he just said about Southgate, but Marcel's been right a couple times.
If any,
I don't think he's wrong with this. By the way, that Southgate thing, obviously it seems wild because he goes, "I'll trust the process and I'll back it." But I don't think that's wild because let's face it, here we're all Manchester United fans. If in the worst case scenario, which for me this is the worst case scenario, Gareth Southgate became the Manchester United manager, we'd all essentially have to get on with it. You know what I mean? Because we're Man United fans. Like, what are you going to do? I'll
be INEOS out. I'll be INEOS out straight away.
Don't do it, KG. Don't. KG.
If they announce Gareth Southgate, if they sack Ten Hag and announce Gareth Southgate, bro, do you know how many options I would do before I get to Gareth Southgate as a manager? Do you know where I could go through in the list of managers? I talked to the guy at Newcastle before I talked to Gareth Southgate. I talked to Thomas Frank before I talked to Gareth Southgate. I talked to, let me go on the list of meatiness. I'd bring back Ollie before I talked to Thomas Frank. I would talk to Jurgen, bro. I would talk to what?
Dave Moyes.
Bro, I talked to Brendan Ross Clark Rodgers, fam, before I talked to Gareth Southgate. The list can go on. I wouldn't talk to, the only one I probably wouldn't talk to, Steven Gerrard and Lampard. That's a step too far. But
what about the Neville brothers?
They're on that list of people I don't really want to talk to as well. But again, there's so many. Tim Sherwood. Nah, no way, not Tim. Bro, there's so many. I might even talk to McKenna before Gareth. I'd bring in Maresca. I'd bring
McKenna. McKenna of Gareth Southgate any day. You kidding me, KG?
I'd bring Carrick back before doing that. I would do so many things before doing. I might even have Wayne Rooney's player manager, bro. There's bro. This is how.
KG, I don't think I'm not articulating a matter of my preference and priority. I'm telling you, I'm following the decisions that INEOS would make. And I'm believing in the decisions that they would make in the event of them, especially if they let him carry out his last season I would look at it and say, okay, they've done Southgate. They've now by that point, because if they do it now, if they bring anyone now, KG, I'm categorically telling you, it's ludicrous. They shouldn't do it. There's not enough time for them to embed their style into the club. But if you do it at the end of next season, and Southgate comes in, Dan Ashworth's here, Barada's here, and they've looked at the club for more than 300 days. The other one's going to be here as well. They've had their structures here. And then now, if you purchase good players in, and you try and upregulate them, there's an avenue.
Marcel, with Gareth Southgate, you're telling me you could do this, with all these men them in, you'd have Gareth Southgate there?
I'm not, again, so now you're asking me my preference. No. But if you're asking me to love the club and back the club, yes, if that's what they want to do going forward. Do you understand the difference between what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do, but then I don't. There's parts I've got conflicting feelings by what you're saying.
So do I, but I'm accepting the reality.
That's love the club. I understand. You're saying love the club regardless. We're gonna be here regardless. But then can I really stand by? I don't know. I'll ask you lot, like John. I'll ask Minna. How would you feel about INEOS going forward if they said everyone's in position and we were playing in Gareth Southgate?
I think that's what's going to happen. I actually think that's what's going to happen.
That's what I was going to say earlier on. I mean, we laugh about it, we joke about it. Do you think? I mean,
I think all roads lead to Southgate for INEOS. Yeah, I do. That's just my opinion, though. That's not me saying I got sources and all of that. It's just my opinion, because the way that I see it is, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has spoken so highly of this idea of a British owner for a British club, or an English owner for an English club. They want an English manager, and you kind of talk about the situation as a whole. If we step back and look at the situation as a whole, and you look at the different managers, they have not been sold on all the managers that have been available. And I can only think it's because the manager that they want is not here right now. And that's why I've said that if they decide after this review, if they come out and say we are proceeding with Erik ten Hag for next season, that's to me not them. That's them not. They're not backing Ten Hag. They're backing Ten Hag if they give him a contract and they say, you know what, 3 years under Erik ten Hag, we are going to trust the process. Word to Marcel, we're going to trust the process. But if they come out and say he's going to continue with 1 year, that's a win-win for them. Why? Because Erik ten Hag has finished his contract next season, and Southgate won't be tied down to another competition. That's not me saying I want Southgate, but I'm saying that I'm looking at the pieces of the puzzle, and this is the puzzle that I'm kind of getting out of it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Ten Hag a bit of a lame duck then, do you think? Basically, if Ten Hag stays, and this was the point I was sort of talking about the other day, saying, like, for all this talk about environment for him, if he does stay, what is that environment? You're in a job where you know the people above you don't really want you there because they were talking to other people. And I mean, can we even build upon that success?
Yes.
Like, what does that even look like? How?
Pressure makes diamonds. Pressure makes diamonds.
Gareth Southgate pressure.
Well, no. The INEOS pressure of what you're insinuating, the lack of him wanting to be there, it's going to make him he's going to have an amazing season next season. He will have an amazing season next season, just based on that, just based on the fact that he's developing the youth in the way that he's doing, the players coming back to the club that he needs, fit players, robust footballers. And then and hopefully the signings that INEOS bring in, again, they have to prove to us that they can do this. I was saying it before. This is an insurance. They can look at this for them. They can look at this as an insurance policy. And for Ten Hag, this is his pressure that's going to make him into the.
But we're saying, but I think what Minna's sort of saying here, and this is kind of my point too, is like almost regardless of what he does in his final year, it almost like it doesn't matter because their mind's already made up. If they're legitimately just waiting for someone else, then Ten Hag's a lame duck. And unless the only thing to be able to turn that around would be, I mean, we're not talking like success getting the top four. We're talking like he'd have to be like competing for the Premier League or something like that to make it completely, we can't go in that direction. Or, which is, I think, actually a real possibility, is that England are just so shit in the Euros that it's just like can't go with Gareth. But I think even then, I saw this clip the other day of Dave Brailsford when he was on that Diary of the CEO podcast. When he was talking about how he does his decisions and they say, so Dave, you take a long time to make decisions. I was like, no shit. You take a while to make decisions. And then he was like, and I have to weigh up, is it the popular thing to do or is it the right thing to do? It's what I believe in. And I thought Gareth Southgate is not going to be, a popular decision, but I don't think he cares about that. And that
but also, why is he making that decision? He's not the football guy. They put football people in place to make the football decisions. Yet we're hearing that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is meeting with Thomas Tuchel and Sir Dave Brailsford is a fan of Southgate. I don't give a shit who he's a fan of, because he shouldn't be making the decisions. Because they put in place, excuse my language, by the way, that he put in place or is putting in place the people to make those decisions. I would rather, like Marcel said, they revisit this situation next year with Ashworth in place, with Wilcox in place, with Ahmed Barada in place, who's the CEO. The buck should end with him. The decision should be with him, and basically everyone else above him just approves it. They shouldn't be having their fingers in the pie too, because they're not the football people. What's the point of, like, Owen? It's like Flex appointing you to host shows, and then I come in and say, "Hi guys," and you just sit to the side. No, you're there to do the job, and I'm there to be part of the cast.
If you want.
I'm all right. But you play your role essentially.
No problem.
Put me back. But that's the frustrating thing that I'm seeing with all of this. Like Marcel said, I'd rather they revisit this situation next year, because clearly it seems like they don't know what they want. Thomas Tuchel, Pochettino, De Zerbi, Thomas Frank, McKenna, they are all different types of, one is mayonnaise, one is ketchup, one is barbecue, one is burger sauce. They're all different types of sauces. And you're here sitting there with a bag of chips. You're telling me you're going to try and put what? One minute you want to put barbecue sauce, 1 minute you want to put burgers. Make up your flipping mind.
Can I tell you something right now? Yeah. I'm on transfermarket.co.uk. Yeah. I went to where it says, I've gone to the manager, Gareth Southgate. Yeah. I clicked on honors. Nothing comes up.
Well, he ain't even got an MBE.
No, it's just, but wait, it gets better. Then I went to see personal records because I thought there's got to be a reason. If we're doing extensive research, yeah, he's played against Man United 9 times. He's never beaten Man United in his life. 3 draws, 6 losses. I said, let me go and see what he looks like against, other rivals. Played against this Chelsea side. Yeah. This is managerial, by the way. 6 times. Beat them once, 5 losses. I said, all right, let's go and see what's going on against Liverpool. Beat them once in his life. 2 draws, 3 losses. We can keep getting. I don't even know how Arsenal managed this. He played Arsenal 6 times, 1 win, 4 draws, 1 loss. Yeah, excuse my language. I don't want to be mad, yeah. I hate this. This guy's last job, yeah. This guy's last job was in 2009. His last club job. 151 matches. No silverware. Man United.
A couple of super chats here. Crash Illustration says, big up Marcel, Owen, Minna, John, and Mr. Kevin Gary. Whereas Flex an old man. It's Kenny. And says, big ups to the Reckless delegation. Kenny's on bowls this evening. I think Flex is on TalkSport. Basilo says, INEOS should not kid themselves. They need to win the trust of the fans. And Marcel, trust in the process does not mean it will be a success. Basilo also says, coaching matters. We are assuming buying players for any coach will work. Coaching counts. Southgate cannot coach an elite club. Chalaboy Comics with a super chat says Southgate's DNA is the complete antithesis to United's. That apt would be gross negligence. Appointment would be gross negligence. Although British core AO, remember our convo. Honestly, the Southgate thing. I agree with Minna. I still lean into it's just kind of scaremongering, but it does feel like there is something in there. Like, what are they waiting for at this point? Kishan also says, imagine if Erik ten Hag smashes it next season, up there in the league, win another trophy, and they sack him and get Gareth. Would you not be INEOS out? I mean, honestly, I can't. Honestly, you've seen me. Biff says, will we get Elise? Tell me we are. We'll talk about transfers in just a second. But just to round up the manager stuff. They say a decision was going to be coming this week. What that looks like, I mean, it would be, you would think logically, it would either be like a statement from the club to say that Ten Hag's gone, or a bit like yesterday with Romano and Tuchel, in that he's not going to be there. You might get something from Ornstein or Romano saying Erik ten Hag's definitely going to stay. At this point, one would think, just based on, the options being limited again, he would stay, but who knows at this point? Who knows at this point? So, of course, we get any more details on that, we'll let you know in a future video. We just had a super chat there about transfers. Of course, the window actually opens this Friday, same day as the European Championship starts. There's already been some rumblings about Chelsea going in for Elise, or rumblings that were after Xerxes, the striker, or we're still linked with Todibo and what have you. John, I'll ask you this first. This kind of ties together what we were just talking about with transfers. Are you worried with how sort of slow things are playing out with the manager that there's a possibility we could get left behind in the transfer market? Because if you're a player, you got to go to a club which you don't even know the person that's going to be picking you every single week.
Absolutely, I'm worried. I mean, right now? I mean, Marcel touched up on it before. We're about to, in a week, the Euros. We'll also have Copa America happening here as well. Right. Add to that a preseason that's going to start in about 30-something days. We still don't have, like I said, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth. Somebody was like, John, you don't understand gardening leave. I've been in it before. You know, I've been on a gardening leave where I've still worked for the new company I was going to work for. I don't give a damn. Like, there are still legal restrictions that probably prohibit you from doing the full work. And unless your ass is in there working, signed on, official, comunicado oficial, saying you're in that role, then you're not really doing the job at 100% capacity. So of course I'm worried. I am absolutely worried. But I do feel like if there's any saving grace in what we've been hearing with respect to the new regime under INEOS, is that maybe the responsibility of new signings under managers, that responsibility has been taken away from them to a certain degree. And I think that maybe I think kind of benefits us a bit, because it don't matter who the new manager is going to be. I think that responsibility.
John, I think that's the problem. I think that's why Tuchel didn't want the job, and I think that's why they're probably trying to sell the project. I listened to Patrick Vieira and Overlap talking about him working at Nice actually, and he said one of the most he didn't really allude too much to them, but he was talking quite generally. But he said they're going to tell me who to sign, but I have to do the job. I'm in the dugout and I have to face the media. They're not facing the media. You can tell me have this player. I have to work with this player for the duration of the time. I don't want to work in a situation that looks like that. And now you can see Tuchel knew. Tuchel was the point that Owen and Flex have been making. I think I just kind of was like, oh yeah, you lot are right. In this last with their hearing, they had meetings on Tuesday, bro. So you speaking to his representatives, when it's the Tuesday meeting, in your head, it's let's have a conversation. Let's really understand each other. We've negotiated for a long time. Let's agree to something. And they've said something that he's not liked, and he's backed away from the table. I think there's something that needs to be looked at by us.
Yeah, but I hear you, KG, and I actually watched that episode of Overlap too. It was fantastic. But we have to understand that INEOS are coming in with this idea that we're going to clean house. The strategy for Manchester United with respect to transfers, let's face it, has been piss poor. We're talking about last season alone. I don't know who the hell wanted Anthony. I'm sure, I mean, we all do know it was Erik ten Hag who wanted Anthony, and we know that Erik ten Hag wanted to. Sorry?
And KG.
And KG.
You make mistakes.
Look, but these are the things, right? Whether we like Anthony, whether we back him, and I still hope and pray that he will come good for us. At the end of the day, Manchester United are a club that just cannot afford at this moment in time to just go left, right, and center by whoever the hell we want. There has to be a structure put in place, and Erik ten Hag is the manager at this moment in time who's going to have to deal with that. And that's another challenge for Erik ten Hag, and I feel bad for him because I feel like he's been having to deal with challenges left, right, and center. But that comes with the package of being a Man United manager. You're going to have to deal with it one way or another. You're going to have to try and get results at some point. We've seen clubs this season. I guarantee you, I predict a transfer window where we're going to be spending very, very little. Not just Man United, but across the clubs. We're having to worry about two major international tournaments. We're having to worry about the fact that the prices are getting out of control. Like, we're talking about minimum 60, 70 million pounds for respectfully speaking, players that would have gone for 20, 30 million maybe a couple years ago. I mean, the inflation has gotten out of, and I'm not trying to talk about economics because I have no knowledge of that, but I'm just saying that prices are getting too crazy, and we're going to probably see a lot less spending, which means that clubs are going to be tighter with their wallets. They're going to be smarter in terms of how they spend, who they spend on, which means less power to the manager. And whether Patrick Vieira likes it or not, whether Erik ten Hag likes it or not, it's just going to have to be one of those things they're going to have to deal with.
I really I'm glad we're talking about this right now, because as we're talking about it, an article has just come out from Rob Dawson, who, by the way, I don't know if you saw, had an absolute stinker last week.
He got baited.
It was so bad. He literally was like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the frame to become new Besiktas manager. And then like an hour later, Besiktas confirmed Giovanni Van Bronckhorst as their manager. And I was like, oh, Rob, about that article. It wasn't a good week for Rob Dawson. But he's just done an article. And so a couple of really interesting parts of it when it comes to transfers, definitely. But this bit really sort of caught my eye because it's almost like it sounds quite negative. So it says Dan Ashworth wants a, quote, yes manager at Manchester United rather than someone that will challenge the recruitment department over the makeup of the squad. And previously, one of the criticisms in the past, like for instance, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was that he was a yes man, and they're saying that's who they want to recruit. I find that's a really interesting way of writing that, because surely a better way of writing that would be they want someone that can work hand in hand with the recruitment department, completely aligned. But to say he wants a yes manager, i.e. a yes man, is very curious that he would write that. But when we talk about transfers, he's also said Manchester United bosses have assured representatives of senior players that efforts to strengthen the squad are on course, even while Ten Hag's future is up in the air. United have been approached by representatives of a number of current players to inquire about the status of the review, Ten Hag's position, and the progress in the transfer market. A representative of one Manchester United player told ESPN that a decision will not be made on his own future until it's known who the manager will be next season. And that's coming from inside the club, let alone outside of the club. Marcel, what do you make of that kind of news? What do you think, with potential signings, what they think when they don't know who the person in charge is going to be, but also players that are currently there, i.e. like a Bruno Fernandes, his name's been up there at the moment. What do you think it means for him when they're like, well, we don't know who the manager's going to be?
Massively interesting, that news, Owen. I mean, when you look at it, a little bit of a leak there maybe from representatives in terms of the mindset of the player and the position that the club's in currently in terms of their indecisiveness. We're kind of seeing that a lot from INEOS, and a bit of their silence, but their lack of ability to make the decision. They're buying a little bit of time. They maybe don't want to make a big mistake and getting rid of Ten Hag, which can be a positive thing. But then at the same time, we're also looking at, that they need to really get this process moving forward. We don't have a lot of time right now. There's major tournaments coming up and all these kind of things. So I think INEOS, they have to prove something to us, and this is a big moment for them. I think the best thing for them to do would, for me, be to really just let Ten Hag stay in the job, and let him work with the squad. He already knows the position that he's in right now with the squad, and for them to say that they need a yes man is extremely interesting. I mean, I think Ole kind of explained to us, or the first time that I listened to Ole's overlap, it was quite interesting about the veto system and, how many people had to put their hand up and say yes. And now we're in a situation where we gave Ten Hag the talent ID, or gave him opportunity to express his talent ID, and it wasn't that good at all. He made a lot of mistakes, or not a lot of mistakes, but, a lot of the signings didn't end up working out to a degree. I mean, Amrabat, unfortunately, was an unfortunate situation. I think, purchased injured. Same with Højlund as well. Took a long time for that to get going. But again, it took so long for us to make the purchase because of the structure. We started the season with only Rashford as our recognised striker. But Anthony, again, was a flop for sure. And Martinez, an unfortunate situation. But, when we look at it as a whole, Ten Hag's, majority of his signings have been free signings and loan signings, at least half, So just the lack of, resources available to Ten Hag as well has been on the structure for me. It's had to deal with an absolute diabolical situation, this football club. But, the fact that they want a yes man is interesting. I think that was what we've all heard, that the direction of travel would be, that somebody else above the manager will be taking these decisions. I think Real Madrid do something like that as well. I'll be assuming, but it would be interesting to know. But it can work, is what I'm trying to say. And Ten Hag has said that he was able to work in tandem with a structure above him. So as long as there's maybe something similar to what Ole had for Ten Hag, and he's able to maybe reduce his ego and accept those terms, because I believe, at the beginning of his tenure, he was adamant that he wanted the talent ID card placed into part of his tools of what he could use, and that he would have the ultimate say on transfers and those kind of things, those kind of powers, because, the previous regime of purchasing under the previous structure, Richard Arnold, Ed Woodwardness, was diabolical, and we're still suffering from it till this day, in terms of wages off the books and the quality and caliber of player in the team. So, we are still suffering from that. But I think with the new structure, with someone like Dan Ashworth in there, who I think has been able to show us that he can get players in that can upscale their value. I think at Brighton, yes, a lesser club, and I don't think Eddie Howe will give him all the credits at Newcastle, but he said that he's, you know, been his best to contribute. I think that's a director or sporting director that can help us. So I would like to see what Ten Hag really does with that information, but I think he would want to carry on at the football club. And I don't think he would. I think he would accept those terms and conditions of a new style of coaching and having a more coaching based role. I think he would accept that, and I think he'll have a fantastic season next season. Just on what you were saying before, though, Owen, I think, you know, you were suggesting that, you know, the level of success for them to keep Ten Hag would be that of chasing the Premier League title or winning the Premier League title. I don't think it would be that. I think that he just, and not adjust, but I think his level of success that he has to meet to get the 2-year extension or the 3-year extension will be maybe to win the Europa League, collect Champions League, and those two maybe strongly. And if he can get a domestic cup, then he would. They have no question. They have to give him another contract. I don't think it will be chasing the Premier League. I think Sir Jim Radcliffe knows we can't chase the Premier League next season.
I just meant it more if their hearts say set on Southgate, then it doesn't really matter. That was kind of my point, because
it always matters.
They might be looking for a way out. But you know, if they're looking for Southgate, then clearly they don't care about a popular choice, do they? I mean, you're talking about a deeply unpopular.
Well, Southgate is gonna ruin his chances this summer.
I think so too.
Going to embarrass himself in the Euros. It's going to be horrible, and I'd like to see that level of appointment again. Man United need to be, because then I would have literally, if this was the case, I would have gone guns blazing for McKenna. If you're talking about literally what Marcel said earlier about starting the project again, yeah, like restart the project, then it's not what I want. But then McKenna is it instead of Southgate. Southgate, again, hasn't been in club management for too many years. This club has so much behind it. And if Southgate is preparing for his next job, why would he drop his two most important players? Well, you can say, all right, Maguire might have had a strain, but Thingy's still gone. Luke Shaw's still there. That doesn't make any sense to me. Unless the club is also saying we are selling Rashford. But if Southgate has a job, he does have a Rashford problem. And these players, you're talking about players that can throw a manager under the bus. Oh, that waistcoat will never see something coming so soon, bro. Because them players really can look at him and say, what have you done in just even domestic football? What is your credentials? Who are you?
You're speaking too logical, KG. It's too much logic involved in all of that. That's why it's crazy. That's why it's crazy.
No,
a couple of super chats here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alex says, if INEOS hires Southgate, I'll be INEOS out and Southgate out. Southgate is a proven loser, and to even consider him after the Iceland game is madness. Where else are we at? Ashmead says, told you these guys are Glazers 2.0. All these folks want to do is repackage old broken system and present it as new. Big Game Player says Flay G for manager, and why is KG not backing him? Well, the days of Flay G, my goodness.
Flay G, bro, you don't want that, guys.
They don't. And Neil says, if INEOS want a structure where player purchases don't need manager input, why not just leave Ten Hag? Because by the look of the alternatives, they don't care about playing style. Red flags. Biff said, Marcel, KG, do you think we'll get Elise?
Is it any supposed to be getting Chelsea?
Well, they're certainly interested. Whether or not he goes there, I mean, I don't know.
I'm so upset. I'm so hurt by this, but no, unfortunately.
Well, Marcel's hurt.
Anyway, that I'll bring up, but I can't unsee it. It's actually quite exciting. So I'll wait for you to finish the super chats and we'll get there.
Yeah, Aslan says, every single journo, including Fabrizio, now saying it will be resolved this week. How does that mean Southgate? We can't even think logically now. Well, I think the Southgate concern, Aslan, isn't based on the fact that he's going to be coming in this week. It's more the case of if Ten Hag staying could actually mean Southgate in the future, if that makes sense, because Southgate isn't available now. Therefore, if the INEOS aren't happy with Ten Hag, they'll go, well, we want Southgate. We can't get him now because of the Euros. We'll wait with Ten Hag and then go to him. I think that's where the concern kind of stems from, not the immediacy of it happening this week. And Harry says, I think Erik Ten Hag's power has been a bit exaggerated. He does not negotiate transfers and wages, just a veto on players. INEOS someone who will accept any player bought, or they want someone who will accept any player bought. KG, you were saying?
Yeah, man. So obviously I've done that big push talking about wanting Ivan Toney, and then someone mentioned Mbeumo. Yeah, and I was like, why not? Literally, like, I was like, he's not a bad player. Literally, I was like, like they were getting into it, not someone, uncle. I was actually quite a few people that was on the call, and was doing just checking out different players and stuff. And was like, you know what? While Tony's young, and again, we'll have another player that he can play a bunch of different positions. It could, like, he's quite versatile. It could make sense, you know. So it's just one of those where while we're looking for, we're gonna need some new players going forward. I know we have a lot of wingers, but we don't like all our wingers. We like 2 of our wingers that are at the club. And that was that Garnacho, Ahmad, that's strongly liked. Maybe on the dislike list, but they understand he can do a job, is Rashford. Everybody else, Sancho, no one's, well, I don't know what the people's vibe is with Sancho, but I believe everyone's saying Sancho's done. Even club came out and said it doesn't matter who comes in, Sancho is done. Facundo's had his chance. He hasn't really nailed down a spot. He should be sold. I think there's spaces for an Mbeumo.
I mean, just quickly, because we're talking about transfers, and this again comes from Rob Dawson. He said that Man United remain confident they will have a positive summer, although sources have said that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Jean-Claude Blanc have admitted to staff that the recruitment department, quote, will not be up to full speed until Ashworth is in place as a sporting director. So, Mina, does that kind of echo what John was saying earlier on, sort of going, actually, whilst there's a lot to do we still have to be realistic this summer? I mean, Cage's throwing out there Mbeumo, but do we have to be realistic about, even with sort of forward targets, actually, there's only a select number of positions we can even afford to recruit for this summer, and even that might be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Maybe INEOS's plan might be to offload this summer and buy heavily next summer. Maybe this summer they look to fill the gaps for essentials. You know, you go to Tesco or Asda or whatever, and you need bread, you need milk. You want a cream egg, but you don't really need it, so you get it the next time you come back because you ain't got the money for it in your pocket.
Yes.
But you know, payday is next week. It's something like that. I think it's one of. I don't like cream eggs, by the way.
We'll go into the overdraft. It's fine. We'll work out.
Just putting it out there. But I do think that makes sense now. Is that right? No. Man United have a lot of gaps to fill, but there are, I think, some damning ones that need to be filled this summer. Centre back is one of them. Midfield is one of them. My only question to INEOS is, where's this 350 million we were told that was going to be invested into the club when they first took over? Some of it went to debt. I know some of it went to paying off interest for debt. They said that some of it would be to fix up Old Trafford, or maybe, you know, push to get this new Old Trafford. And then I'm hearing that we've got a 35 million transfer budget without outgoings, which is why I say that they may be relying heavily, pricing Sancho at 40 million, putting up other people on the transfer list to try accumulate some money.
How much did you say?
I saw a tweet. I saw a report like last week or the week before. I don't know, Owen. I think you lot covered it on a morning stream as well.
Yeah.
They were saying it was 35 million cash.
35 million
budget.
Cash.
The rest has to be through sales.
Yeah.
That can't be true. We've always got like 100 to spend as a minimum.
But does the money run out eventually? If you overspend, and then you have a season where you finish 8th in the Premier League, yeah, you won an FA Cup, yes, you got into the Europa League, but catches up to you eventually. And then these new owners, KG, by the way, new people that are involved in football operations, they're looking at the books going, this is ridiculous.
They are trying to cut costs seriously to a point where if you work at Carrington and you don't work directly with the first team, you can't eat in the canteen.
Yeah.
Go eat in the locker. Go eat in your changing room. Go eat at your desk.
Sancho special.
Yeah.
And you know what? And this is what's we're gonna have to be ready for this kind of storm, because when you're looking at INEOS, they are businessmen. These people are businessmen. They believe in their successes because of their business decisions. Right now, for them, it's cutting cost time. It's hunkering down. It's spending as little as possible. This is all going to be a part of their project. When it comes to Q2, Q3 review, when it comes to annual reviews, What they want to do is I guarantee you, INEOS's project is they want a new stadium. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been twerking for this Wembley of the North. I guarantee you what they're looking for is investors. What they're looking for is money to raise. They don't, smart companies, this is disgusting and I hate it, but they hate spending their own money. They're trying to bring in money from left, right, and center. They're going to try and go, hey, look, hey, investors, look. This is our review. This is how much money we saved. Man United, we're spending this much money. We came in, and in a year's time, in 2 years' time, we cut costs here, here, and here. Look how much little money we spent. We're being smart. We're being frugal with our money. This was the project before. This is the potential for us now. This is how we're going to move now. This is their way of trying to fix up.
Yeah. Carry on. Sorry, you said something. It's reminding me of Chelsea. Chelsea are on cost cutting and saving money and bringing in money for the different.
They're trying to sell the women's team. They're trying to sell. Chelsea are trying to sell their women's team right now to get investors to buy into their women's team. You know that, right? That's what they're trying to do.
That's because Chelsea are so badly. But that part of their stuff is they've spent so badly over the course of 2 years that they're now, like Mina said, they're selling off everything: hotels, training ground.
They might sell Matisse next.
Matisse.
He needs to be careful. He needs to be careful. They might sell him.
Yeah, it's not going to go for Armani prices, but it's still you can get some money. You know what I mean? But yeah. But I mean, John does raise a good point there. When it comes to any merger or acquisition, what's the first thing that happens after that? Cuts. Every single time cuts. Employee cuts, what have you. And that's what you see. That's what you're seeing at Carrington at the moment. Now, is that going to really translate over into sort of spending in the transfer market? Probably not. But I do think there is something we do have to temper expectations somewhat in the summer. And it's frustrating because we've got so much work we need to do on the squad. We can go through every position in that team near enough and go, need a player there. You look at the back four, right? We're going, need a centre back, maybe two. We need a left back. We need a midfielder to partner Colby long term. You're looking at the right wing situation going, is that even really resolved? We need another striker to either support or compete with Rasmus. So already then you're going like 5-6 positions. But because of the financial situation Man United find themselves in, because of the damage that they've done over the last several years it's going to take to unpick that. I mean, is it going to be a quieter window than we actually think? Is that a possibility?
I'm going to say something controversial, but I don't know how to even say. I don't even know how to say it because it's something that is very. It has to ponder on the mind because it's not a good thing in my mind. But I do believe in rehabilitation as a person in life. But I think Ten Hag might keep number 11. I really do think Mason Greenwood might be somebody that's kept on. In many different ways, just in many different ways, Owen. In the sense of, we are financially in a difficult situation, so that's part of it. I think Ten Hag. Ten Hag's awareness outside of just football in itself is not always brilliant. Arnautovic situation is what comes to mind, and the fact that he just, in terms of ability, he just wanted a player that can do a certain job. So, if the club can work outside of the stuff outside of football with Mason, then I can see. I've been pondering on it for a little while, and I think that's a situation that could happen in terms of adding quality to the squad. I personally think he should be sold, but I just think the football club has gone through certain difficult situations before, and time has been able to pass, and if you can add the element of rehabilitation and a proper kind of campaign explaining and showing understanding, then I could see that happening for some reason. I don't know. I understand why.
I don't see it. I think that with the backlash that came out last time regarding how poorly they handled that factors that in. And I think, to Mina's point, if you're going to look at it from purely a footballing point of view, we're talking about, certain players have been earmarked as, for lack of a better term, fundraisers this year. And I think Mason Greenwood is absolutely in that situation because he's an academy player. So from a pure profit point of view, if you can get 40 million for him, that you can spend all of that 40 million, and probably Man United can probably put some things onto that as well when it comes to the future, add-ons, sell-on clauses, what have you. So I just don't see that. And I think INEOS, when we're talking about all of the other stuff that they're doing, and like look at Jadon Sancho, and there's far less baggage, obviously, with Jadon Sancho. If the report's accurate from earlier on, they just want to move on. They want to move on, park it. Let's just move on. And I think
your opinion on that, though. Can I give you a theory on that Jadon Sancho one? I honestly feel that they've tried to speak to everyone. They've realized quickly on that Tuesday session that look, we're not getting Tuchel here. Because I think Jadon Sancho, started hearing reports that Jadon Sancho will play for the club if it depends on who the manager is. And everything it was pointing in the direction of Jadon's not going to be here. I mean, the manager's not going to be here. Now, all of a sudden, the main guy that you've been talking to, as John mentioned earlier, the safest pair of hands, even if people think they're volatile hands, the safest pair of hands in terms of quality and done something in a game is Tuchel. Tuchel's now off the table. Now, if you go back to the manager, you have to almost kind of go back with your hands between, you know what I mean, and say, well, listen, Ten Hag, yeah, we had a few conversations. You know the Jadon Sancho situation, don't worry. We got that. We're not going to force you to reintegrate him into the squad. Because that's what I thought it was going to be like before. Jadon Sancho is getting a reintegration. Now, if our manager is going to be Ten Hag for the foreseeable, they can't say, by the way, we're taking everything off you. Your whole role changes, and you have to bring in this guy. It's again, that's taking it's a fragile situation. I can only imagine, and I think that'll push him over the edge.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think even in those conversations they're having with like a Thomas Tuchel or whoever, I think there are, and I think Greenwood's involved in this too. They're just like, oh, these players, yeah, they're not going to be here next season. Like they're just not even gonna. Yeah. So don't even think about you're going to work with Sancho. I don't even think you're going to work with. I don't know, pick another player that's probably not going to be here next season. Oh, it's not going to happen. Donny or whatever, someone like that, they'll just go, this. It's not even. They're not even going to be there.
This whole, like, can I just say, Owen, like this whole thing, I think Minna was spot on before. We've noted, we felt this whole British first, this whole like boomer energy. We felt this from.
Was that your British accent, by the way, John?
British.
Was that your British accent?
Oh, did I do that? I'm sorry. Sometimes my brain goes. Sometimes did I just do that? I'm so sorry. Anyway,
British.
Sorry, freaking hell, did I do that? So what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, they're going to be looking for options, right? These old boomers that, you know, they're calling people back to work at the office, like, you know, they were making people that weren't working with the first team go eat in the canteen, like what Minna was saying. That's right. And the reason why they're going with Gareth, and the reason why I personally think that they've been talking a lot about Gareth Southgate is in conjunction with everything we've been talking about. These guys are looking for something that's financially viable, right? We spent so much money on Harry Maguire, who, whether you like it or not, over the past few years, the amount of money that we spent, it hasn't worked out. We've talked about Jadon Sancho so many times, a player that we spent a lot of money on, hasn't worked out. Who is the manager right now that has worked with them before and has gotten good out of both of them and has the ability to be able to work with these players to maybe salvage their careers at Man United? It's Gareth Southgate. Adds to the fact that he's English, adds to the fact that he's got this experience working with all these young players who might be quote unquote not good enough, whatever it may be. Of course, these guys are going to want to talk to Gareth Southgate. And I'm not sitting here saying that's good enough. I actually think that's horrible. I think Southgate, I was on with KG before. Awful decision. Gareth Southgate has proven nil pois. He's done nothing to prove that he deserves this Man United job. But that's why they're talking to these people. That's why we're being linked with them. And that's why Man United is being used by all these articles, all these journalists to get these clicks. You know what I mean? There's a trail of breadcrumbs that leads to the reasons why they're being talked about. But you guys were talking about Greenwood. You guys were talking about Jadon Sancho. All these players, I think they're gone. And I think they're going to fix up this season. And I think they're going to hunker down. As much as certain decisions we might not like, I think they're going to be straightforward with this idea of stop ruining the vibes off the pitch with Man United. Stop spending so much money. Stop doing all this shit. And I think that's what they're going to lock down with respect to Man United. That's why I'm still relatively hopeful with INEOS. I just think stop making us wait too long. That's what I'm at.
But you look at their history of their club. Sorry to just interject.
Yeah,
they don't really have a success story with any football club that they had. This is their maybe third time lucky. I think this is their third club that they're now involved with. So maybe third time lucky. But they have had maybe those bumps. Well, not even bumps, because some of them were full on relegations. But they've had those problems with other clubs. Obviously, at Manchester United, the revenue is different. The money is different. The media attention is different. I feel like I'm on the Marcel hype. I'm like, INEOS have to earn the trust of fans right now with this entire thing, and labeling it as a review, I think is quite harsh. They're not reviewing Erik ten Hag. They've done that ages ago. They're reviewing their options now and essentially trying to come to a decision. And I do think that the delay in the decision, I'm gonna die on this hill, guys, is because Southgate's not available. That's the reason why there's a delay.
Someone again, I saw a super chat earlier today and said it's not a review, it's an interview, and I thought that's so funny because it's absolutely 100% the truth. It's a disgrace what's happening at this club. I hope though, I really hope that they run out of time. Ten Hag is the manager. I think next season we're gonna have a really good season. I think we're gonna be good next season. I think he's gonna get it right. I think he's gonna do things. He's gonna surprise a lot of people with, if we can keep the players fit, if we can keep Lisandro Martinez on the field with a good partner that stays fit for the duration of the season. Yeah. And I'm not trying to ask for too much. We need to find a decent midfielder as a decent partner that brings out the best in Bruno and Kobe. So then the team has to start getting busy. If it's Omar and all those other guys, because they don't get to walk out and say it's got nothing to do with us. They're appointing new targets, people that are going to enhance the squad and make us better. I believe the lessons learned from Ten Hag this season, alongside this back in the support and structure, with players that we have a fit spine, Man United will surprise a lot of teams and do well next season. Now, what I'm wanting to win is what I'm going for is Europa League and another FA Cup, please.
Yeah, well, in the Europa League, people forget it's the different formats. You don't have the teams dropping down from the Champions League either. It's the people that are in there.
United are the best team in the Europa.
Yeah, they are on paper anyway. On paper, but you never know, Man United. Red Baron says, I don't understand why people don't believe Southgate will be our manager. He has a higher percentage chance than we think, in my opinion. Sorry, Owen. Take Your Profit says, what success have INEOS achieved ever in football? Which was kind of Minna's point. They've got, I guess, do they have sporting success in general? Because didn't they take over from Team Sky or whatever? So I don't even know if that was technically them from the cycling thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's not, the track record's not great, basically. Red Baron says Chelsea already sold their soul years ago. And Harry says, are we comfortable with Ashworth and Wilcox being our ghost managers as suggested, deciding on players and playing style? Do they select the 11? Well, I suppose that's just the modern... that's the modern football setup, isn't it? You've got your directors of football, technical directors, and that nature, and the manager, or the head coach rather, picks the team and works in conjunction with them. I suppose we're just not used to it because it's Man United and we've never really had that structure in place. What I do want to finish on, though, obviously international tournaments are beginning this week. European Championship starts Friday. When does Copa America start? Is that this week as well, or is that a little bit later on?
It's 17 days after, I think, or 10 days after or something. Yeah, it's a week and a bit after.
Yeah, so with the European Championship beginning on Friday, I wanted to go around the panel and say, which Manchester United player have you got your eye on in the tournament? And also, who's your prediction to win the whole thing? Minna, I'll start with you.
I was going to say Højlund.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Højlund. I don't know. I think you got something for England, I think you got a little something for Duncan thing. I actually think, I know you didn't ask me about England, but I think round of 16 is probably going to be the best that they do.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Rasmus Højlund, for me, all eyes on him. I think that Denmark team will be decent.
And who do you think's going to win it? Germany, home victory. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Marcel, what United player are you looking at in the tournament, and who do you think is going to go all the way?
Obviously, I'm looking at Bruno Fernandes, the king. It's going to be him. He's going to have a fantastic tournament, Bruno. And then I agree with Minna. It's either Germany or England that will win it this year. England have got a fantastic side, but their manager's no good. But Germany have just got too many ballers everywhere, and Musiala might just do the madness. Musiala really just could do the madness the whole tournament. So, he just unlocks defenses. 1v1 king, 2v1 even. It's light work for him. So, it could be a Germany madness at home. Yeah.
KG.
I've got my eye on. It's hard because it's between Kobe, but I'm a bit disappointed with the media. So I'm going to say I've got my eye on Diogo Dalot, Portugal. I would have said Bruno Fernandes as well, but again, just for something different. But a team I think is going to surprise a lot of teams, like always, Croatia.
Really?
Yeah,
Croatia?
Croatia, they just don't stop doing this, innit? They just don't stop getting there and being there. So I feel like you just blink again and you see them in the final.
And good vibes, John. What are you saying?
I was on the same boat as Amina. I was gonna say Rasmus Højlund because that's my guy. But I'm also gonna. I think I'm gonna be keeping a closer eye this year on Copa America. Actually, also, I think Lisandro Martinez is a player that I'm gonna keep a very, very close eye on. Last year for Argentina, obviously winning the World Cup was incredible. But now that he's getting into more of a senior role and being a bit more of a veteran in that side now, and all sides of football for Lisandro Martinez, I think he's gonna be somebody that I'm going to keep a very close eye on just to make sure that he's healthy, he's fit. I don't know what it is. It's something I just want to keep a close eye on him.
Yeah, and I think he played last night, by the way, and people were raving about his performance last night for Argentina.
Incredible. So. Talk about tidy. Talk about efficient. Man was just on it. Incredible performance. Like, we need Lisandro Martinez to be fit. If he's healthy, man, we can do so much. You know what I mean? This guy is incredible.
I've got a question quickly, guys. Who do you guys think is going to be our next signing this window? Like, because we need outgoings, by the way. More important than actually buying players is actually selling players this summer. But who do you guys think is going to be our first signing? Just a quick question.
I don't know. I don't even know if it's someone we've even been linked to.
We just got to know who the manager is. We've got to know who the manager is.
Yeah.
But do you think that matters? Do you think that really matters, KG, in the sense that if they're going in this direction, Owen just broke the news. Like, they want a yes man. So don't you think it's important where it's a thing where we have to look at where the weaknesses in us?
A player needs to know. There you go. Elise, is it done?
I don't know. I think that's
Marcel. I'll tell you, it's Sofian Amrabat.
So we'll 25 mil. We're going to purchase who we already have in the squad.
Maybe 20 mil.
20 mil. Sorry, yeah, 20 mil. Okay. I mean, it's a safe bet to go. We can see the use case, and that for me, then, John, just means that we're going to hopefully stick with Ten Hag then, which is a positive. And then Toby comes in as well. Toby Collier, who's spoken to somebody else that can learn off maybe an Amrabat. And it's in terms of what needs to be done in the DM role. It can work, but I'm really worried in terms of who we're bringing in with this 35 million surplus that Owen is suggesting and that we're hearing reports being suggested of. And then, like we're saying, the outgoings, Sancho needs to go immediately. Greenwood then needs to go immediately, in my opinion, as well. Donny van de Beek, there's so many players that need to go. So it's crazy. I wonder who's going to be the first purchase. I think Ivan Toney's a good bet, though, KG, in terms of a striker. I think you should really get Ivan Toney, but we'll see.
We shall see, indeed. I think, just circling back for the Euros, I'm looking at, I think Marcel said Bruno Fernandes. I think it's going to be a big tournament for him. I think he has got the bit between his teeth. And they're also my prediction to go away. I think Portugal win it. Their squad is
They got a serious squad. Yeah, they got
their squad is crazy. And I know but Martinez didn't really work out while he was Belgian manager. Golden generation, although their golden generation was a bit messy, wasn't it, with squad fighting and squabbling and what have you. And I think Portugal, I think they're the one. I don't think people are talking about them enough. Yeah. And I think Bruno Fernandes is going to do a madness, and Ronaldo is going to lift another trophy. It's going to be crazy. So there you go. We shall see what happens. If you haven't already, click the like button. We're just under 500 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button on the way out. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner, you know what to do. You can follow the guys on all of their channels and their socials too. Good Vibes John is everywhere. He's on YouTube. He's on TikTok. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. X. KG, that comedian. I believe his channel is in the video description below. What's your number you're at the moment, KG? Recently hit the milestone of 40, didn't you?
Yeah, 40 something.
And it's going to be a big summer for KG, the comedian, over there. Reckless Breakfast and what have you. Mina, your channel, I think, is in the video description. If it's not, people will put it in the chat. What's your road to at the moment?
I just hit 4K, so it's road to 5K next.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. So I'm sure Min will be busy over the summer too. And Marcel's everywhere, yeah? He's on X. He's very active on X. I see a lot of Marcel in caps. I see a lot of Marcel getting... I mean, we don't have time to get into it, but Marcel was very angry at the Jose Mourinho stuff at the Champions League final until he watched the clip and realised he was completely wrong. But it was very entertaining. So if you haven't already, follow him on X. Yeah, Marcel 11 or 10 is well worth a follow. Big up, guys.
National News 365 5
on the road to 20k. Yes. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Flex and myself with another morning. Transfer view. Transfers definitely happening. Totally. Transfer window opens up at the end of the week. So we'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're out of here. Peace.